When you start any new software development work and you're confident you have the skills to get it done to spec and in the allotted time, it can be disheartening when you start the work and seem to bounce from problem to problem. As the deadline looms closer, it's easy to blame the tools you're using or the developers of the free open source software you're relying on, but there's one third option that most of us find too uncomfortable to face. Maybe you're just not as good as you thought you were. I know exactly how this feels because 4 weeks ago I started building a new software project and the deadline has come and gone. I now realize that my current skill set doesn't match the expectation I set for myself, but far from seeing that as a negative.
I'm gonna be honest with you. If you guys aren't using AI to expedite some of the prompts or at least learn quicker, that's the reason why you're not like finishing a lot of projects. Now, don't get me wrong, there could be projects that's like a little grandiose for me, and I'm only speaking for me. The only reason I haven't personally finished a project is because one, I either don't know all the pricing like specifically. So I'll get the project up to its environment, get it running, get it builded, and then I gotta put it on the cloud or do something with the database. And I'm not really ready to scale money at that point. I'm really just trying to build the project and kind of say, hey, look what I made, right? It's hard to kind of build when you don't have money sometimes because you need money to have data hosted on some of these things. I don't have the best computer, so my hardware is limited. So like yeah.
Realizing I'm not as good as I thought I was is actually very liberating because it opens the door to improving yourself. That's why in 2025, I'm throwing away any notions I might have had of being highly skilled or even an expert developer, and I'm going to adopt the beginner's mindset to start again from scratch. In this video, I'm going to share some of the traps I've fallen into on this recent project that have slowed me down, and how starting again as a beginner might be the reset you need to actually make real progress in 2025. Did you ever wonder in a coding interview why they always ask you those tricky questions? Often questions that are unrelated to the work you actually end up doing if you land the job. By showcasing that you know more than other candidates about a specialist area of software development, it's a way for employees to choose one candidate over the other. Problem is, when you try to apply skills you learn in a job, like the software development skills I worked on for 13 years, when you come to build your own project, you realize there's a lot missing. That's because different success criteria apply. Back-end development is only a tiny part of that. You got to come up with an idea, define a minimum viable product, create a design, create the front end, handle marketing and sales, or in other words, do everything you need to do to actually create valuable software, as opposed to in a job taking care of that.
That's the only aspect of software that you guys don't have down pat, which is sucks. Like it dead ass sucks. I feel like this generation of programmers and coders are gonna be way better than the last generation because we fucking talk, we fucking communicate. Like everybody that's a programmer right now in this generation of the booming of this industry, they're fucking on YouTube, bro. Like they're making content. They're trying to get their work out there and like just talk. 99% of the battle in programming is talking, bro. And a lot of people just don't talk. You know how much interviews I've went to and I communicate and I articulate myself so beautifully. They're like, "Are you sure you're a programmer? Like, are you HR or something?" It's just not norm for a programmer to just come out their neck and talk and be communicative and be like socially like not awkward. Like, and this is no shade to Tom Gregory. I'm pretty sure you're like not the best socially acclimated person. I could be wrong. I could be right. I don't know. But just by the way I'm saying by the way the tone is like there's no sazon when you're talking, you know what I mean? Ain't no seasoning. It's just straight like a lecture. You know what I mean? Ain't nothing wrong with a lecture type of style, but put some bass in your voice. Sound like me.
One tiny part of the process, you've got to become a generalist. So if you've ever specialized while working a job in back-end, front-end, AI, graphics, infrastructure, databases, or anything else, when you're working in that job, it's easy to feel like you know everything about software development, but you actually don't, and you just know everything about that one very narrow field. And if you try to build a full web application, you might come in for a big surprise. For example, yesterday I realized that even after decades of of writing software, I'd never built a documentation site. Every little part of this, like the sidebar, the navigation structure, the icons, and rendering Markdown as text, is a little mini challenge for which 13 years of back-end experience isn't much help. So when you realize you're no longer a big fish in a small pond, but a rather small fish in a pond full of new skills to learn, what can you do about it? Do you code using a multi-monitor setup, or do you prefer simply using your laptop screen? For the longest time, I was convinced that the secret to coding productivity was having as big a screen as possible. But having just spent 3.5 weeks in Japan with this laptop, which has a small 13-inch screen, I started to realize that I can write code given any setup. What I'm saying is that your preconceived notions of what's
Don't
best
matter. See, I feel like this is gonna be a video of what is this? How the internet
a
works. Let's see.
job about how the internet works is still super relevant to many areas of software development. Everything else around what's the best language to use, which frameworks to pick, and even
What
in
to
disguise.
avoid the expert label.
This web app bootstrap project I'm working on right now is the first project where I'm actually going to be publishing my code for others to read, as opposed to building a web app that people just use. And that makes me feel kind of vulnerable. When you position yourself as an expert, you put a lot of pressure on yourself to believe you need to know all the answers. The fact is that so-called experts get it wrong all the time, whether that's coming up with impractical solutions to software problems or predicting what
I don't agree with it. I'm gonna subscribe. Here's what I'm gonna say. Be as confident as ever, bro. Be confident that you might be wrong. Don't be confident that you might be right. Be confident that your ass might be wrong. But you gotta be confident as a programmer. Imagine LeBron James, right? He's like, man, I don't let me make sure my analogy is proper before.
to know all the answers. The fact is that so-called experts get it wrong all the time.
Imagine LeBron James, right? He lost first year Cleveland, da da da. He's like, you know what? I did it wrong, guys. Let me stay here in Cleveland. Fuck Miami. I'm not going to South Beach. How much rings you think LeBron will have? All right? Right? Stop being complacent. Sometimes you got to take chances like LeBron did, go to South Beach. Like, I'm pretty sure he took a chance going to Japan and learning how to code without having the biggest screen monitor. That right there was the biggest step in programming change. Like, it's starting over. Like, just the ideology. It has less to do about the work. Like, your mindset got to be great. Like, right now, I want to make a live stream training a model. Why? Because I want to train a fucking model, bro. Like I see how much people do it, and I kind of want to just like get my feet wet. Like, you know what I mean? But that's not the only thing I want to do. There's gonna be a lot of things I want to do. But starting over with coding ain't one of them. I think everybody got to drop the ideology that coding is this one thing. Coding is a task that you do for programming. Programming is problem solving. What are you problem solving should be the question from now on. Because if you don't know how to problem solve, then you just like wasting people time. I want to be a polyglot programmer, one of many languages. I speak English and I speak Haitian Creole. I know a little bit of French. I understand a little bit of Spanish. You know what I mean? But I understand what it means to be trilingual, I guess, but multilingual when it comes to speaking and speech. That's what I want to be in programming. I want to be multilingual. You know what I mean? So if you have a problem or issue, especially with the way the world is going, you kind of want to be immutable in all technologies so you can have the right help or the right source to go to when a client needs help or a client needs change or a client needs an update or a client just needs anything, bro. Like some programmers don't know nothing about hacking or security. You know how crazy you sound? You telling me you make a product and you don't even know how to break into your shit? Some tech dude. That's like a mechanic saying, hey, I work on Hondas for 10, 20 years of my life, but still don't know how to make a lock for a Honda. What the fuck you mean you don't know how to make a lock? Or what the fuck you mean you don't know how to fix a lock? What have you been doing for 20 years? So, like, comment, subscribe. There's certain things I just didn't agree with this video. Overall, I feel like his actions that he took was a better indication of how you should change coding or whatever programming style you have for 2025. Don't listen to his words 100% because sometimes it could be difficult to articulate for some of these programmers still. and he's not saying the right things that'll help it resonate. Because you might find yourself in tutorial hell listening to him after this. I ain't gonna fucking cap. You listen to a nigga like me, then you gonna find yourself coding like a motherfucking G. Straight up. Like, comment, subscribe. I'll see you in the next one. Let's make sure we give him some love though. Great advice. I shared my own reaction on this. Happy holidays, happy holidays. All right, see you in the next one.